the statement that obesity is a very important risk factor for renal stone formation is widely accepted. And this recent, very well done meta-analysis demonstrated that there is an increased risk for people being overweight or obese for renal stone formation. But I want to raise some doubts about this. We have to consider that the meta-analysis was based on 8 population, 8 series, most of them from the United States, some from Japan, and some from China. And if we look to the methods, what we think is that we are dealing with first renal stone former, because in the study, the prospective study, were included patients who never formed the stone before. And most of the study had a 40 years threshold of admission in the study. So most of the patients, of the subjects that were studied, were over 40. And I put a red line in this graphic from the Mayo Clinic on the population of renal stone former according to the age of stone onset. And you can see that if we consider people over 40, we lose a lot of patients, and especially we are looking to a population that is different from the general population of renal stone former, because as you can see, after 40, the distribution of stone composition change because calcium oxalate stones go down and the uric acid stone go up. So the population that were studied were not the general population of stone former. They are a definite population that probably did not include a lot of recurrent stone former, because we know that when stone disease, the onset of stone disease is over 40, the rate of patients who recur after the first stone is much less than when the stone onset is before 40. And we know that the proportion of uric acid stone gradually increase with the body mass index of patients. So it is confirmed that probably we are studying a population in which uric acid stone are not prevalent but are more represented than in the general population of stone formers. And we have also to look to the region in which studies were done, because half of the study came from the United States. And we have to remember that obesity in the United States is quite different than obesity in other regions of the world, because the rate of severe obesity is much higher than in other countries. And again, the diet of the standard diet of the American population is very high in red meat, high fat dairy product, and processed food. So it is a diet that is more risky for stone formation. So let's look to other countries. Please don't look to the last column because there are some mistakes. Look to the third column, and you see that there is a wide range of rate of obesity rate between stone former in different countries. You see that very high rate were observed in the United States, in some region in Eastern Asia, such in Middle East, such as Jordan, and that in Europe, the obesity rate of renal stone former is much low than 10% in Germany, in Italy and in France. So it is different in different countries. And if we look to the ranking of obesity in different countries, we see that the country in which we observed higher rate of obesity in renal stone former are the country in which obesity is more frequent, such as United States, that rank second, and Jordan, that rank 5. When we compared the mean body mass index of renal stone former with the mean body mass index in a population of not renal stone former, we didn't find any difference. And also we didn't find difference in the rate of obesity and overweight between the general population and the population of renal stone formers when we adjusted for age. Again, we found that with the increase of body mass index, we increased the rate of uric acid stones. And what about urinary saturation? In another series, we evaluated the urinary saturation in relation to body mass index. And what we found is that body mass index is not significantly correlated to urinary saturation with respect to calcium oxalate and to calcium phosphate, because the increase of risk factors such as calcium and oxalate is counteracted by the concomitant increase of citrate and magnesium and the increase of urinary volume. On the contrary, the body mass index was significantly correlated with urinary saturation with respect to uric acid. And here this slide to show graphically the correlation. When at a multiple regression analysis, we confirmed that body mass index did not predict urinary saturation for calcium oxalate and calcium phosphate, but predict urinary saturation for uric acid. But in the same analysis, we also consider the role of renal acid load of diet as a predictor of urinary saturation, and we found that it predicted very well calcium phosphate, but not calcium oxalate. And this could be explained by the fact that the renal acid load of diet tends to be higher in renal stone formers, and it is inversely related to citrate excretion. Finally, let me present some data from a study of the U-merge association in some country in which we consider the body mass index of renal stone formers. And sorry for the very difficult slide, but I can explain you that the blue bar are the obesity rate of renal stone former, and the red bar are the obesity rate of general population. The rate for renal stone former were adjusted by age. And you look at the arrow, you can see that the obesity rate of renal stone former was higher only in some countries, Brazil, India, and Pakistan, both in male and in female. There are different explanations of this finding. The first is demographic, the age distribution of population in different countries. The second is the different energy intake and energy expenditure, because we have to consider both. The third is the spectra of stone composition, with uric acid stone being more frequent in some region of Middle East and in some area of Brazil, dietary patterns, and climatic conditions. What I mean is that an obese population that has a propensity to form stone because of insulin resistance and reduce the urinary ammonium production can have an enhancement of stone formation because of the climatic condition. So the obesity is the base, but the stone formation occur when there is another condition that is climate. So this can explain why obesity is more related to renal stone formation in some countries in which the climate is more favorable to uric acid stone formation. So in conclusion, the statement of an increased risk of obesity for renal stone formation should be mitigated because we have to consider that it was validated by renal stone population with late onset of stone disease, mostly from countries with high rate of severe obesity and consuming a high protein and high fat diet. And especially, this population had no information of the result of stone analysis because they are related to stone formation in general. We have to remember that when we look to the obesity rate of renal stone former, we have to consider which is the rate of obesity in that country, because there are a very wide difference in the obesity rate in different countries that are reflected in the renal stone forming population. And we have to consider that the risk of stone formation in people consuming a high-calorie diet, that is the premise to obesity, is modulated by the pattern of their diet. What I intend to explain is that we can have a high-calorie diet that has a low content of animal protein and fat, and this diet could be less predisposing to stone formation than a diet that predisposes to obesity, but it is also a structure that predisposes to stone formation. So not all the obese have a diet that could predispose to stone formation. At equal level of calorie intake, the lithogenic potential of the diet depends on the diet patterns, particularly the potential renal acid load of diet. So at equal level of protein intake, climate can tip the scale in favor of uric acid stone formation. So I think that probably is true that there is a relation between obesity and stone formation, but it is not true for all the patients. It is especially true for forced renal stone former or people that form episodically stone that are a population that is not the population of all the renal stone former. Most of the recurrent renal stone former are not obese. And it is the reason because in the office, I see that they are not obese. They are quite different. So obese people form probably 1 stone or 2 or 3 stone in their life, but they are not the typical recurrent renal stone former. Thank you.